Earth. Perhaps the most physical and perhaps the most misrepresented element in the Legend of Spyro. If one controls it, one is a master of their connection to nature, and this power is peaked when they are firmly on the ground. Let us delve into its lore and discover the histories of the element. Greetings historians, welcome to Lore of the Dragon. Earth in the Legend of Spyro seems to be a manipulation over a sort of energy, one of which is shared between all things living and non-mana. A dragon of Earth can manipulate this energy, bringing forth hammers or manipulating rock, earth, and stone. In particular, Earth Boulder from the end of Malefor's War comes to mind. Like mentioned before, this is why they are innately more powerful when firmly on the ground, and thus why it is written the Earth Dragons prefer combat on the ground rather than in the air, as some might expect for a dragon. For one, such as the Purple Dragon, to learn it, they must understand the precepts of strength over adversity, have willful resolve, and obstinate determination. Spyro would need to show this in order to free himself from being trapped under the Bell and Munitions Forge, thus, through this experience, unlocking the ability to use Earth. This explains why, in the Legend of Spyro, we see the Earth Guardian Terrador show these qualities. He's large, with a warrior spirit, and unmoving in his conviction. Much like the other elements, perhaps this element gives the dragon who possesses it a certain attribute, which contributes to their personality. As for where they might train, honestly, I imagine anywhere would be suitable besides cities, of course. We see Terrador defending Tall Plains, home of the Atlawa, although it's never stated if they were there to train, as this was the depiction of Terrador during the war. Perhaps they were there in the area, perhaps they were in the swamp, or in other locations far from the constructs of dragonkind. Of course, the application of this energy is vast, and in combat, it's used for both offensive and defensive purposes. Interesting enough, during the days leading up to the Night of Eternal Darkness, Spyro would use Dragon Time to increase the potency of his Earth abilities, such as Earth Pound and Earth Flail, giving us a demonstration of combining the two into a powerful and unorthodox method. But I digress. Given that it's using energy to either manipulate already existing objects or manifest objects out of mana, I imagine there are plenty more amazing or even catastrophic abilities one could use if they properly know how to use the Earth element. What these applications could be, I'll leave that up to you to imagine. Just know, like for the other elements, it could perhaps be more than attack and defense. Now, while this manipulation of energy is interesting, and most people will attribute it to rocks and stone, there is something else that was interesting that was shown to me. During Spyro's original training in the Earth element, Terrador tells Spyro to harness the soil, the wind, and the world itself. This has always been a rather interesting comment to me, and also a bit of a point that annoys me. There is a wind element, we do see that. However, if it can be manipulated using this mana, or rather the Earth element, then was wind part of the Earth element? I always attributed this to a derivative element of sorts, something that was sort of taken from the Earth element and focused on. However, the fact of the matter is we truly don't know, but it's something fun to think about. As for those who mastered this element, the ones we know anyway, we once again can glean a few from the elemental wheel. Earth is particularly interesting as not only does it host the names of dragons, but as well locations. As for the dragons, we have the names Yangdrithis, who mastered the Earth Shot, Hargan, who mastered the Earth Bomb, Thraklor, who mastered the Earth Flail, and Kytheron, perhaps using the knowledge of Yangdrithis and Hargan, mastered the Earth Fury. The mastered Earth Fury is only available to Spyro after he masters the Earth Shot and the Earth Bomb. So, much like the other elements, it seems that you have to learn basic moves and build those up before you can actually have a mastered Fury. Some other moves, albeit not mastered, mention the names Wandering Whirlwind, or locations like the Quaking Valleys or Trembling Cliffs, This does affirm the idea that Earth is an element that encompasses both Earth as we know it, soil, the wind, and all of nature. At least, wind is debatable. Now, I meant it when I said this element is not entirely represented correctly, at least in my opinion. It seems to be not particularly about the Earth itself. Whatever confines it to something we could attribute to nature is not ever specified or ever told to us. And that would be very nice to know, because if it was just a mana dragon, as this is sort of implying if you take out all the nature aspects, that's extremely dangerous. If there was a mana dragon, let's say, that could be someone who drains a living creature of their mana or can manipulate it in certain ways. That is pretty scary, and technically that's what they're doing to plants. I'll open up speculation and theorycraft for that. It's unfortunate that we don't get to see with our own eyes these locations, or get to visit these dragons. I again, unfortunately, can't decipher anything about the stories of these dragons mentioned in the Elemental Wheel, as their notable ways of using Earth were not marked with any words that stood out as anything that would relate to a story. Perhaps they are and will forever be lost to time. Although, again, like many things, I open this for speculation and thought experiments from those listening. And that will be all from me today. As always, a big thank you to my Patreons, Abyssal Blue, ConquerFan91, Jabby, Kiasu Shin, Laka312, Lozzy, Nightmare Spyro, and Shaggy. I'll see you all the next time we talk. Stay safe, historians.